Hello guys, back at you with another video, and this one I'm just going to sort of ramble on a little bit. I'm going to try to be as coherent as possible, but this will not be a flowing video. I also want to take this opportunity to apologize for the sound issues in some of my videos. I have yet to hone the craft of creating these videos. I'm just learning as I go, and I'm having fun. Hopefully the messaging is on point enough where you can kind of forgive me for that, but just know that I am working on getting better at it. But anyway, this particular video, the root of the subject is going to be about this moronic idea of the lesser evil. I am just astounded every time I hear someone talk about a lesser evil, as though almost as if they should get a trophy because their side is the lesser evil. Like their political party's home office should have a lesser evil trophy sitting there in the lobby, so that, you know, people can see it and admire it as they visit the home office. I mean, it's so idiotic to me. And I hear people making the point that these people are even intelligent. That's the frightening thing. And one of the last people that I heard make it is someone that I vehemently disagree with on a whole host of issues. But one thing I will give him is that he's very intelligent. Is a gentleman by the name of Vaush. Now, I'm not going to get too much into the two people I'm going to talk about here, because the root of the subject of this video isn't really about those two people. The other one being Nikos. He's also a very popular YouTuber. These two had a debate. And to be honest with you, the debate was very cringeworthy. I don't even want to watch it. I'm not going to show it in this video. I will put it down in the bottom if you want to watch it. But, you know, I have to warn you, you know, as intelligent as Vaush is, and Nikos is smart too. He's just not a debater. You never debate a professional debater just because you know some things, because debating is a lot more complex than that, which we're also going to get into. But yeah, this whole lesser evil thing is just, you know, I don't even understand how anyone can even say that. I mean, to me, that's such an imperialistic, you have to have an imperialistic mentality to even make that sort of point. It's like, yeah, our president, sure, you know, his bombings killed so many innocent civilians, but yours killed more. Oh, yeah. Our president, he put down brutal sanctions and implemented brutal sanctions that caused people to starve to death and die because they couldn't get medicines. But yours did it more. What the fuck? I mean, excuse me. What the hell is that? I mean, are you serious with that? I mean, I understand that it's a talking point and all of that, and it's really easy to whip out, and, you know, you think it's going to win a debate, but actually, no, it makes you look ignorant. It not really ignorant, because ignorance can be an excuse. Excuse me. Let me take that back. It makes you look evil. It makes you look like a person who's evil. Now, whether that's subconsciously or consciously, because a lot of people in America are brainwashed, and a lot of our ways of thinking come as a result of us being brainwashed and thinking that, you know, we're an exceptional group of people. But it just doesn't make you look good. And you can't really win an argument with that, because especially when you consider how long that argument has been out there. I've been hearing that argument for years. I mean, years, going back in my, my very early 20s, when I really started kind of paying attention to politics. But there comes a time where, even if at one time that point was legitimate and it came from the heart, if you're still doing that 20 and 30 years later, especially when you've had opportunities to vote for people who wouldn't necessarily be described as evil at all, don't you think that kind of makes you look like more of a moron? I mean, you've had an opportunity. Okay, yeah, in an isolated election, you know, you really don't have a choice. There's one person who's really, really openly horrible, maybe more straightforward in their fascism or their authoritarianism or whatever. Okay, so in other words, if he gets in, he's just going to run carte blanche over everybody. Excuse that noise. Let me get rid of this, man. Jeez. Anyway, sorry about that. I might edit that out. I might not. Anyway, yeah. So, but in the end, if two evils are great, and you're comparing the two, of course, one is going to have more evil deeds than the other. It's only two, and you're matching them. If you got two presidential candidates, whether they be man or woman, they're both great evils. Yes, one is going to have more evil deeds than the other. I remember seeing an article. Don't hold me to this. I think it was in the Washington Post, but it's neither here nor there. If you look it up online, you'll find it. Where after, I think about like 2 years into Trump's presidency, I think he had bombed so many people and had used drones so many times. They wrote an article. It was really like a celebratory article about the fact that Trump had finally passed Obama in his bombings. I mean, and they were really giddy about this, like, aha, you can no longer say that Obama bombed more people than Trump. And then it was the same thing with the border. Aha, Trump has finally separated more families and put more kids in the cages than Trump. And then when they used the pictures of the cages, they used a picture that was taken actually when Obama was in office. But this is the kind of stupidity that we get in when we're saying things that we know is moronic. People who use this, they're not stupid. Like I said, I took the stupid back. They're not stupid. They're just evil and totally obsessed with winning politics like it's a sport. This is not a goddamn sport. These people have the ability to totally ruin our lives. They have the ability to set forth policies and laws in this country that will decimate your children's future. So for the sake of your children, if any of you are those types of people are listening to this video, I'm going to beg you for the sake of your children to please snap the hell out of it. Okay? Don't care about these people more than you care about your own children's future. You should care about yours because your future will help you provide a better life for your children. But you definitely need to care about the future of your children, because if this country keeps going down the right wing road that it's going, this country is going to be good and jacked up by the time your kids get your age. Okay. So anyway, in this debate between Vaush and Niko House, like I said, I'll put the video down in the bottom if you guys want to know more about who they are. By the way, I disagree with both of these guys vehemently on a whole host of issues. Niko House, I disagree with him on basically a lot of political issues, which, that's okay. Vaush, however, I disagree with on issues that's a bit more serious than that. And I also put a video down in the bottom about that because one of those issues is pedophilia. There was a time when Vaush defended pedophilia, and he thought that any form of pedophilia should not be held legally accountable, especially porn, like child porn. He thought that should just not even be an issue at all. But overall, pedophilia, the whole subject overall, he was defending it. But he particularly was defending child pornography. Now, of late he's backtracked on it. But to me, certain boo-boo filled ditches that you step your foot in, you just should never be able to clean that boo-boo off your shoes. That boo-boo should stay there. And that's forever going to be there. Also, of late, not very recently, he's gotten really bold in using the N-word, and he believes that he should be able to use the N-word as long as he uses it in the proper context. Now, let me say something to you white people out here who make this point. You can use context all you want to. Black people, now I don't use the word. There are a lot of black people that don't use the word. That should be made clear. But we understand the relationship within our community. We have an understanding amongst ourselves about how we're using it, the history of why we're using it, And we even changed the way that it's said. We don't say the word with the R on the end. We say the word with the A on the end. Okay. But you shouldn't even be saying that, because it's just one is just slang and the other one is the proper way of saying it. But what you guys have to understand is that us black people, we're not so alien to you. We live life just like you do. And, there are a lot of situations we find ourselves in where there are people of different races and ethnic groups who are saying things to each other that we know that it's not proper for us to say. And I think I can speak for at least most of us when we have no interest in saying it, and we understand why those people are saying it to each other. 2 examples, just right quick. I work with a lot of Latinos. They make a lot of jokes about each other, calling each other wetbacks, making one guy had out a box cutter, and one guy said, "Oh, everybody better get out of the way, Mexican with a knife," and we all laughed at it. But I hear things like that all the time, but it just never occurred to me. Never. I promise you, it has never occurred to me that, hey, one day off the hip, I could just make a comment like that too, because they do it. That is so stupid to me. It is such a stupid way of looking at things. But hey, I just say this, to anybody out there who, if you really believe what you're saying, if you're willing to say it behind a mic or in your basement or wherever you are, and you're really that adamant about the fact that you should be able to say it, then I think you should, you can say it. It's a free country. Please have at it. All I'm going to tell you is this: be careful where you say it, and be careful of who you say it around. Or, hey, look, if you insist, go right ahead. And you know what? Record yourself saying it, like go up in a black club or something, or a black sports bar, and say that. I'd really be interested in knowing how that works out. Anyway, no, as a matter of fact, don't do that, because I don't want to. I don't want to see any good black people, man, go to prison from beating you down. So yeah, don't do that. Anyway, these 2 guys, Vaush and Niko, were having a debate, and Vaush asked Niko if he asked him 2 things actually. He asked him if he thought Biden was more evil than Trump. And I already told you what I think about that. So when he asked him that, I just thought, oh God, like I said, I've told you I have issues with Vaush, but I just thought that was a bit beneath him to just ask directly. I can understand that he had reasons why he thought people should vote for Biden over Trump. By the way, I also said the same thing. But not because I think Biden overall globally is less evil than Trump. I thought that Biden would still be just as evil globally as Trump was, but maybe the American people domestically could get some relief. So there's that. So I even agreed with him on that, but not because I thought he was lesser evil. I would never describe him as lesser evil just because I think Americans would have an easier life if he were president. That'd be kind of selfish on my part. So I would not describe him as lesser evil. And he also, Niko said that he was fascist or some other word that he used. You'll see it in the debate. I'll put it down in the bottom. Like I said, it was some other word he used attached to fascist. And then, Vaush asked him if he knew what a fascist was. Now, at this point, what Niko should have said was that maybe he didn't know exactly what it was, and maybe he could have, because maybe he's like me. I don't, even to this day, I can't tell you the exact definition of a fascist, but I am somewhat familiar with Mussolini and how he ran things and some of the things that he did to get power. Like he killed his political enemies. His policy was basically my way or the highway, or my way or the grave, actually, to be realistic. Yeah. So, I have an idea, but if somebody asked me, hey, Chris, do you know the definition of fascist? If I tell you I know the definition, that means I can tell you an official definition, but I wouldn't say, yeah, I would say, yeah, I have some idea of it. Do you know? I would have asked Vaush, hey, I'll tell you what, why don't you, I'll tell you what my idea is, and then why don't you read the actual definition? Because Vaush was willing to read the actual definition. It was like a 7-point thing that all totaled out described what a fascist really is. Now, let me say this. The first mistake Niko House made was debating Vaush. Vaush is a professional debater. It is his shtick, if you will. That's what he does. He goes around and he debates people. And he's very, very good at it. Let me tell you guys something about debating. Okay, I'm not a debater. I like to know things. I like to take in knowledge. But that's not really what debating is all about. It's not all about what you know. It's all about selling your point. And what a good professional debater can do, they can sell a point that they don't even believe in. And Vaush is a professional debater. Now, I don't know whether he has a certificate in it or if he went to college for it or if he was on the debate team in college. Hell, I don't even know if Vaush went to college. I just know that he is very intelligent academically. Like I said, I don't know if that's formal or not. And he is a professional debater. I've seen him debate numerous people. And I would never debate him for the simple fact that he is a professional debater. Now, you know, would I have a discussion with him? Yeah, I'd probably have a discussion with him, but I wouldn't debate him. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, he probably knows a shit ton more than I know. But, yeah, so that was the first mistake that he made. I remember many years ago, allow me to ramble a little bit, when I used to have a truck run from Atlanta to North Carolina, and I would drive at night. And I had this podcast that I would listen to, and the podcast was all about the craft of debating. It was more than just people debating. It was actually about the craft of debating. And basically listening to that podcast, what it taught me was that because what they would do, they would have people to come on and debate, and it would all be out in the open, and they would tell you that, for example, you might have two leftists debating. One leftist would be told to debate from the point of view of a right winger. In other words, if he was anti-war, he would be told to debate from the perspective of a person who was pro-war, right? So this is something that he doesn't even believe in, or she doesn't even believe in, but they have to debate from that perspective as though they do believe in it and believe in it vehemently. There were times when people who didn't even believe in a certain philosophy would be picked to argument on behalf of those philosophies, and they would win soundly. So in other words, that's how good a professional debater is. He can say things that he doesn't even believe in, and he can sell you on it. Vaush is very good at debating. He absolutely, because the reason why I would never debate a right winger, before I make this last point about Vaush and his past debating right wingers, is because right wingers don't even have to tell the truth. They can just tell lies. They could just say anything. They could say the craziest thing. They won't even be held accountable for it. They just make up stuff off the hip, you know? And I remember one right winger, what's this guy? Man, I forget this guy's name. Anyway, it's not important. His whole point about people who had houses, who lived in areas where those houses are destined to be flooded with waters due to global warming. This guy, he's well respected, and this guy on the right, he actually said, hey, if your house is in one of these areas, why don't you just put it on the market? Well, who the fuck are you gonna sell it to? Aquaman? I mean, the whole point is that your house is in an area that's doomed to be flooded due to global warming. Nobody's going to buy your house, you know, unless your house is an area where they're planning on building a resort that's, you know, above the water or something like that. And even then, they're going to take advantage of the fact that your house is going to have low value. They're going to give you pennies for it. Oh, yeah, I remember the guy's name now. The guy's name is Ben Shapiro. And yeah, I cheated. I looked it up on the phone while I was talking. But anyway, Ben Shapiro. He's one like Candice Owens. Candice Owens says the craziest things, and she can still be successful as a right wing, whatever she is. I don't know what she is. She's not a leader, so I'm not going to call her that. But she's a character. She's a right wing character because she does a lot of acting. Somebody who goes around saying that racism doesn't exist, but yet when she was a young woman, She and her parents, they actually sued a school because I think it was 2 or 3 white kids who happened to be kids of one of the kids was the kid of a Democratic official. They were picking her, making racial slurs toward her, and they filed a lawsuit and they won. And it was in the paper. But she walks around saying that racism doesn't exist. So people on the right get to just say anything and they can maintain respect. You know, they can say anything and don't skip a beat. You know, they won't lose any respect, you know. So that's the reason why I hate to see people even debating these people or going on their shows or whatever. It's ridiculous. It's unfair because the left can't do that. We have to stick with the facts. We have to at least be able to say we believed what we were saying. What we were saying has to at least be reasonable. There has to be a reasonable reason, even if we were wrong, why we believed what we believed, even if it's found later to be wrong. We can't just say anything crazy because we're going to get washed up, and after a while we can just drop off the map, and you'll never hear from that person again. So it's totally unfair, and that's one reason why I would never debate a dishonest right winger. And let's be honest with you, most of them are dishonest. But I would never debate someone like Vaush because Vaush is a professional debater, and I've already told you, you know, why it's not a good idea to do that. So that's the first mistake Niko Owens made. But anyway, Vaush asked Niko if he thought that Biden was more evil than Trump. I mean, how do you even gauge that? When you have two great evils, is it even worth asking that? In the grand scheme of things, is it worth asking that? And my only point is this. When are we going to stop voting for people because we've had opportunities to vote for people? If you want to go by that, then, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, Bernie Sanders is some angel or whatnot. I'm quite sure if he were elected president, he would have done some things that I didn't like. But I don't think that anybody could legitimately say that he would not have been a lesser evil president. He certainly would have been a lesser evil president than Biden. So when are we going to start implementing that philosophy in the primaries? You know, then we get to the general, even though all the polling indicated that Bernie would have defeated Trump, people ignored that. And they still decided to go with the lesser evil, using the lesser evil. Okay, so if you're going to do that, then why not vote for the guy, Bernie, who's clearly lesser evil than Biden? Look at the poll numbers and say, okay, if we vote for this guy, he's the lesser evil guy. You know, he's the lesser evil of all these candidates. So we're going to vote for this guy because the numbers also say that in the general, he can soundly defeat Trump. But that's not what you did. You voted for the greater evil. Okay. So, I mean, how do you gauge that? I mean, for example, you know, and I think the problem is a lot of times people just look at these politicians like they're like gods or something. You put a different, you allow them to live according to a different standard. But let's bring it to earth. Let's say, for example, you have 2 Nazi camp guards that you're talking about, right? Or you're writing about. Let's say you're an author and you're writing about these 2 guards, right? Or you're reading a book that's about 2 guards. Anyway, 2 guards. One of them escorted personally 5 people into the gas chambers. The other one is responsible for escorting 20 into the gas chambers. Are you going to say that the one who escorted 5 into the gas chambers is lesser evil? Are you really going to make that point that he's lesser evil because he escorted only 5 and the other one escorted 20? Let's say that the other one escorted 50 and the other one still only escorted 5. Is the one that escorted 5, is it really worth discussing whether he's lesser evil? He escorted 5 people into a fucking gas chamber and kill them like it was nothing. Men, women, and children. Are you going to use bombing? Because they were using drones, like I was discussing before. I know that Obama was responsible for, under his presidency, a few weddings got bombed. I think it was a children's hospital. I know it was a hospital. I think it was a children's hospital. So what are you going to do? You're going to say, well, Trump bombed too? Seriously. We're so demented with this issue that we're even trying to bring Bush back like he's not so bad. Bush is a demon. Bush. Okay, I'm not even going to, because I don't want to. Let's just say that he should pay for what he did. He should pay for what he did. We live in a country where warmongers can walk into a room and people stand up and they applaud them when they walk in the room. We have people like Henry Kissinger, who's considered a hero in this country. This man is responsible for the mass murder of a little over 500,000 completely innocent Cambodians, a country that we never even went to war with. This is just, it's insane. We're so proud of the fact that, we're voting for the lesser evil. Meanwhile, to the rest of the world, they're paying the price. We need to stop this. We need to be aggressive in trying to figure out how we're going to stop this madness, because it is madness. And you can tell that people know that it's wrong, because when the people they voted for and supported and went online or whatever format they were on, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and vehemently insisted that people vote for them, when those people get in there and they start doing wrong things around the world that result in people dying, these people have nothing to say online. We have leaders in this country, or ex-leaders. Let's be honest. Some people become so powerful and influential in this country. They're always leaders, even when they don't hold official office, like Madeleine Albright, who once on national television said that the lives of 500,000 Iraqi children that American sanctions were responsible for the deaths of, she said that their lives were worth basically America being able to achieve their goals in the Middle East. That's 500,000 children. 500,000 people would be bad enough, but she said that it was worth the deaths of 500,000 children. Now let's remember, the Iraq War was based on lies, and Bush is a war criminal. The world sees the United States as its greatest threat. Now lately, there has been a couple of articles that came out that think it's bragging rights to think that, yeah, it still looks bad, but it looks a little better since Trump is out of office. Really? Is that the standard? Is Trump the standard? Trump is practically an open fascist. And I can say that because he said that he admired Mussolini. He's an open fascist. He's an open racist. That's the standard. So people feel a little bit better now. Yeah, of course they're going to feel a little bit better than when Trump was in office. Do we really want that to be our standard? Seriously. Because I'm scared if that's it. Trump should never have been president. This country should never have been placed in a state where a Trump presidency would have even been possible. It was only made possible by neoliberalism, which comes from both the Republican and Democratic parties. So it shows high levels of pomposity to sit there and debate about who's most evil. Okay. If both sides want to admit their side is evil, that's enough. Enough said. So it's absolutely ridiculous. This is a moronic argument. What we should be talking about is how we're going to get rid of these evil people, period. Okay. So, it's mind boggling. You see people say things like that, and it's just like, wow, you have to process it for a minute. You can't even respond to it because it's so idiotic. So I'm asking people, because here's what I believe. As the general public, we're actually better people than people in Washington. I heard a long time ago that only like people who run for office, they're basically a bunch of psychopaths. And I believe it. And we keep voting for people. We're making a big deal out of people not accepting money from corporations. What good does that do when the people who don't take money from corporations always end up bending a knee to the people who do take money from corporations, and they vote right alongside them? And then they say things like, oh, don't worry, there's a big plan. It's a big secret. Don't worry about it. Believe me, in the end, when you're, 50 years from now, you're going to see the method behind the madness of what we're doing. Ridiculous. Everybody knows that's crazy as hell. That's batshit crazy. And it's not true. It's dishonest. There is something else going on behind the scenes. We don't need to know exactly what it is. We know something is going on. We see enough. All we have to do is look at these people the same way we look at each other, and then our lenses will be clear. Stop looking at these people like they're gods. Stop putting them on pedestals. You go out here and you allow these people to lie, and you still want to admire them. You allow them to do these horrendous things. And then if you own a small business, you're going to go and you have a cashier on the payroll. You're going to fire them if they come up $5 short on the till. You're going to assume that they stole it, especially if it happens more than once. And then let's say you did find out that they stole it. Well, why be so judgmental against them? Why not try to figure out what the issue is and try to see if you can solve it and give them another chance? Because you give these politicians and these leaders with all this power who is destroying our lives and our futures and the futures of our children, you give them unfettered forgiveness for the most horrible things that they do. So let's please stop talking about, let's make it an embarrassment. Let's make it our mission to make it embarrassment for people to argue about lesser evil. It's time to move on from that. The world is laughing at us. Okay? So look, guys, I'm going to cut it short right here. And look, give the video a like or a dislike. If you didn't like it, that's cool too. I have thick skin. And like and share, even if you want to share it just to show it to your friends, say, look at this fool, look at this idiot. He's completely wrong. I completely disagree. And let me tell you why. But if you go down in the comment section, please be respectful. That's all I'm saying. You can disagree with me. I have no problem with that. But just be respectful. And hey, guys, most of all, as usual, stay safe.